Thank you for joining us for this episode. Today, we're joined by Dr. Jason Compton, and he's from New York City and has got several practices. And we're going to be talking about rocket fuel for growth on the OI Show. Thank you again for joining us. Today, we're joined by Dr. Jason Compton. Jason, you have been somebody I've looked to over the years, even before you started your practice in the contact lens industry. And you've always got these really cool and neat ideas. You started off in a contact lens technology sector, and then you came into private practice, I believe 2015 already, right? 6-7 years ago.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yep. Private practice. Absolutely.
Wow. And Jason was just telling me he just opened his third practice. And Jason, it's an honor to have you on the OI Show.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes. So both Dr. Mila Brujic and I have huge accolades for all the things that you've accomplished. You always bring some new ideas. And Jason, you were sharing with me how you have become uniquely involved with a program with Goldman Sachs. Can you tell us a little bit about this program and what the heck is giving you rocket fuel for growth? Tell me more.
Well, it's a program that is sponsored by Goldman Sachs. It's taught through a college here in New York City, where they bring in, entrepreneurs. I would say in my class, there's probably about 50 people in the cohort from all different areas of expertise, whether they're restaurant owners, whether they own private institutions of schools. I have like designers, and basically what they do is they really teach us how to, I would say, just manage our business. And as I'm sure as a lot of people that listen to this podcast, if you're an optometrist, when we were in optometry school, like there's really no time to learn the business of optometry, the business of managing or owning a business, because we're so focused on the clinicals, and which rightfully that's how it should be. But when you get out there and you decide, listen, I want to open up, I want to go it alone, there's just so much to owning an optometry practice than just prescribing minus lenses. Like there's just so much more. And especially like in a practice like we have in the city, where competition is like, in a 3-block radius, there's easily between optometry and ophthalmology, there's easy, 6 or 7 practices easily, so you have to learn how to differentiate yourself. We do that with specialty products, the scleral lenses, the myopia management, the neural lens. There's all sorts of things that you can bring into the practice, but you have to know how to market it. And you could have the greatest instrumentation in your office, the hottest, latest equipment, but if no one knows what you're doing and no one knows what you have, and your marketing is not on point, it's of no use. So this is the kind of things that I'm learning in this type of program.
That's awesome. I was thinking about my grandfather. He didn't learn optometry. He didn't learn business in optometry school either. But then he went to a town where he was the only optometrist, and it seemed like in the day. Now, we had big cities back in 1950, but it seemed like it was far easier to differentiate because people went to you because you were a doctor, right? That was it. That's all you kind of needed. But now people are looking to us for so many different things, and it is that differentiation. And fortunately, within optometry, you could have a vision therapy practice and do nothing similar to the practice right next door to you.
Very
or
true.
You could do myopia management, and somebody else loves geriatrics, and that's the collaborative nature about our profession. So, give us a couple of the things that you have really felt like, that was kind of encouraging me or challenging me, encouraging me because I'm doing something right, or challenging you that you're going to change something about your practice because of what you've learned recently.
One of the things that I learned was something that I kind of already knew, but I didn't know how to utilize effectively. And let me explain what I mean by that. One of the things is they teach us is how to pool your own personal resources. And I think that, and I'm sure you can attest to this, over the years of being involved in the AOA and the Academy, we developed these relationships with practitioners all over the country. And being able to tap into different people that, are really good, maybe someone that you can kind of fall to if you have a clinical question, or someone you could to tap into if you have a business question. But even outside of the optometry world, like friends that are in finance, friends that are in marketing, and just being able to understand your network and how to be able to effectively utilize your resources. And this is not anything that you have to dig into your pocket with. If you take like a step back and think about it, you probably have access to a wealth of information that you may not be tapping into, which is extremely important. And as a doctor, I mean, you've had years of interactions with people, whether on your professional career, while in school, and these are the networks that you really need to tap into to be successful. I believe.
Yeah. What are some areas that from that you've taken away and you've looked to within your own network? Can you think of an example of how you've used that since learning more about it?
I think the financial piece, really understanding, because I mean, I got the eye doctor piece down, but I think understanding things like balance sheets and understanding things like, income statements, like that has been huge. Another thing also has been HR, just understanding different ways that you have to, how you should interact with your employees, legal concerns with that. I just kind of going through my network, I found someone that's in charge of an HR division of her company, and I didn't even realize that, and so many of the resources that she's been able to give me have been extremely helpful, so it doesn't necessarily have to be an optometrist that can provide this information to you. But again, you have to be able to tap into the pool of your resources that you have access, you may even be aware of.
Yeah. So I think for the third time, I'm in the process of reading through The Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell's book. And he speaks about mavens, connectors, and salespeople, people that make things change through information and ideas. Those are mavens. Those are kind of our technology people. Connectors make things happen through people, and they look at their quote unquote Rolodex or their iPhone connections now. And salespeople through persuasion. I think that's so key. Those of us who are in optometry, we tend to just like hunker down within our own world oftentimes, and may not be looking outside of our own profession. I love the fact that you're in this group with people who are in the fashion industry, with people who are in the, finance industry. Different. And you can learn so much from their business. Obviously, you're able to bring things to them too, but that's just phenomenal. That's incredible.
And it's crazy. You'd be surprised how many things that we have in common. Like we all have the same stressors, and it's just, it's great to be able to get, like you said, that different perspective on similar problems.
Yeah. Well, not all of us are in the city, and not all of us have Goldman Sachs. So now you're talking to me about this, and I love this opportunity for you. But those of us who are listening, what are some takeaways that we can take from you, from your learning, or to go out and connect with other people on our own? What would you suggest people do to have this rocket fuel that you have?
I think it's kind of going back to the original discussion of the resources, just kind of tapping into it. And if you maybe grew up in a small town and you don't have those resources, just take advantage of the advantage you have. We have an amazing profession. We have an absolutely amazing profession of people that are unbelievably giving. And you can make those connections if you haven't in school through the AOA, through conferences. Now that we can almost say post-COVID, maybe, I don't know. But, conferences are now in person, are starting to become in person again, and just putting yourself out there. And I just feel like that is an excellent way to start, because you'll get different perspectives on things of people, things that you're already doing in your practice, but they may be doing a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be an amazing place to start for somebody that doesn't have access to people, or think they have access to people.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a good example for me personally. A friend of mine, we're bringing some new technology into my practice. And a friend of mine was just talking about her experience in optometry, bringing this technology into her practice. And she said, well, I hired a communication coach. I'm like, what do you mean? So I know how to better talk with my patients about it. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, you just don't know. And she's a phenomenal communicator. She's one of the top speakers in the circuit. And she's like, I just wanted to figure out how I could best communicate the message to the patient, because I'm sure you and I both do this. Like I think I'm a pretty good communicator with patients about the condition they have and that this is why they need what they have. But oftentimes we don't necessarily say the same message the same way to certain people. And sometimes it really works and sometimes it's flops, right? Think about our sunglass sales. Like, is there something we consistently say every single time to help convert people to their sunglasses and whatever it is? So I had never even thought of a communication coach, but yet here's somebody in optometry who's now able to connect me to somebody outside of arena that I even thought about. And I think for those of us, particularly who are younger in the profession, to be able to look towards other optometrists to point your way outside of the profession. And that's a good thing that we can do. You may not have an attorney or an accountant or somebody that can help you on the finances, but somebody else is doing really well in that. And so we can reach out because our profession is very giving, right? And in learning us. Yeah.
And what I would say, almost to the point of what we're doing right now, podcasts, there's so many podcasts that offer a wealth of information you can access for free. And I mean, a perfect example is what I do with my marketing. I follow so many podcasters that have absolutely nothing to do with optometry. Right. But I learned so much about how I do my Google Analytics, my Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, YouTube marketing, all that stuff I learned from podcasters. And this is, again, another area where you can tap into a wealth of information without coming out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's brilliant. I'm excited to see where this goes for you. And hopefully for those of us that are looking for it, we can have the courage to step outside and ask one of our local colleagues. I think that, as you pointed out, optometry is a very giving profession. Thank you, Jason, for being part of the OI show. We really appreciate your wealth of knowledge.
Beautiful. Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
All right. And thank you for listening in for this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the OI show.